Howdy folks, and welcome back to Bridgetown Abridged. Today we're going to be doing a quick run-through of Measure 26200, an amendment to the city charter to limit candidate contributions and expenditures and require campaign communications to identify their funders. So let's go over a quick summary of the petition. The purpose of the petition is to limit contributions received by candidates and their committees in city elections by doing the following. 1. No individual or political committee can give more than $500. 2. No candidate can have a loan balance of more than $5,000. 3. A small donor committee may give as much as they want, but they can only accept contributions of $100 or less from each donor to that committee. And 4. A corporation can donate a whopping total of $0.00 to any political candidate for city office. It also limits independent expenditures, so the amount that a single person can spend in support of a candidate, to only $5,000 per individual and $10,000 per political committee per election, though they allow these small donor committees to spend as much as they want to, presumably because individuals can again only donate $100 per year to them. Also, any entity making an expenditure over $750 has to register as a political committee within 3 days of doing so for, I'm guessing, tracking purposes. It also says that all communications to voters related to a city candidate must disclose the original source of contributions leading to that communication. Like, for instance, if this video was required to do so, it would say, paid for by the paradox of me somehow having too much free time, but also too little free time. Lastly, it allows for individuals to make campaign contributions by payroll deduction if their employer allows for them to do so, and it also allows for candidates to spend as much money as they want to if that money comes from a government public campaign funding system, which is a neat type of system where the government gives candidates public money to run their elections. So if Portland were to enact a system like that, the candidates would get to spend that money freely. It's a practice in many other countries, as well as 15 other states and a number of smaller municipal jurisdictions, and I might make a video on that in the future if some people are interested in that. Also, it should be noted that any violation of these limits would result in a fine of no less than 2 and no more than 20 times the amount of unlawful contribution or expenditure. Investigations of these violations would be handled by our city auditor, whose job can be explained by this really cool video that you should go watch right after this one. So overall, a pretty straightforward measure. It limits the amount of money that folks can spend on city elections. However, people have a lot to say about it, so let's get to the arguments for and against. 4. Oregon is one of only 5 or 6, depending on who's counting, states who have no campaign spending limits, and this is bad for our democracy. Campaign spending in Oregon is up 1,000% since 1996, totaling nearly $50 million in the last election, and it's beginning to get out of hand. Oregon got an F rating from the nonpartisan Center for Public Integrity for creating a system to avoid government corruption, and Oregon was also considered the second worst state overall for political financing by their same investigation. Our current financing system favors the wealthy and disadvantages folks of low income and people in historically disenfranchised communities. This new system would still allow for the effective running of political campaigns, since these limits are in place for 90% of local governments in the United States and their elections seem to run just fine. This new system would encourage more outreach to average citizens, since it would force candidates to seek more quantity when engaging campaign donors, rather than encouraging them to engage just a few highly wealthy ones as they do currently. Oregon currently does not require political ads to show the actual people who funded those ads, due to our system allowing PACs to fund other PACs continuously over and over again until it's very hard to trace the original source of money, which allows for what's called dark money to be used to pay for ads. Requiring ads to show their true funders is law in 46 other states already, whereas Oregon repealed our requirements for doing so in 2001, so Oregon needs to catch up to other states in this regard. Many corporations use their money to influence political races to avoid compliance with environmental regulations because there are currently no limits stopping them from doing so. Big money being involved in politics has resulted in politicians avoiding the creation of a universally publicly funded healthcare system, despite the creation of one being supported by a majority of Oregon residents. And now for arguments in opposition. This measure limits free speech by limiting the amount of money that people can donate to candidates that they believe in. A similar measure was passed at the county level in Multnomah County and was struck down in our court system, so this measure is a waste of time, seeing as how it will be struck down using the same legal precedents. And lastly, campaign limits make it harder for candidates running against incumbents to get elected, since incumbents already have a funding system in place. Again, as there was a large number of arguments in favor of this petition, there's also a large number of endorsements, so I'm going to leave them up here on the screen where you can read them at your leisure. And here's a list of people in opposition of this petition as well. And that wraps up my summary of Measure 26-200. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you would hit that like button and maybe share it with your friends if you thought it was informative. And if you'd like to see more of my videos in the future, you can subscribe and hit that little bell down there to get notifications when I release a new video. And other than that, I hope you have a fun time voting, and have a good day.